Hello everyone and welcome to a new YouTube video. Today we're going to be doing a full V girly glam night out, lasting all night sort of makeup, and it is the easiest makeup look ever. So we're going to jump straight into it. Okay, so first, excuse the headband, we've just popped her on. I've got my little goodies in the basket here. So when it comes to going on a night out, I literally have a go-to look. If you watch my TikToks, then you probably know what it is because I do this quite often. But honestly, in a rush or not, this is just one of my go-to looks because it is so easy and I know it looks incredible every time. Like, you can't really do it wrong. It looks good every time. I'm just going in with a little bit of the Byeleanorwood base. If you are doing like a full night out glam, then something like this is absolutely essential for putting underneath your eye base, because if you've ever found that your eyeshadow doesn't stick or it doesn't have that colour pigment that you want it to, and a little bit flaky and a little bit dry, it's because you've not got a base on underneath. I like using the actual Byeleanorwood base. This is incredible for this. I probably wouldn't really use anything else. Occasionally I will use my concealer, so if you haven't got the Byeleanorwood base, then I would recommend using a concealer as opposed to not using anything. Sometimes I find with concealer that if it doesn't fully dry down, it mixes with the eyeshadows and it makes it go a little bit muddy, so that's why I like using the Byeleanorwood base. Okay, so next up I'm just going in with my preferred cream bronzer. This one is the Made by Mitchell Bulk Balm, and I'm just applying this to the outside of my lid, just over the top of that base, and just blending it out a little bit. I think that this just makes doing my eyeshadow even easier because it's already done one of the shades for me and it just blends it. It doesn't matter how precise you are being with this because it just blends seamlessly into the cream that you've just put on underneath. I just like to tap this on and focus mainly on the outer side, and then I'll just sometimes go a little bit here as well, but that's just personal preference. I find that when you're going out on night out glam, that's when you want the makeup to be the best. You want it to last long, you want to look cute by the end of the day still. You want to wake up in the morning and your makeup still be looking good. So that's why we're going all out for this one. The eyeshadow palette that I love is this Jordana ticia one. I've not used her in a hot minute because I've actually been trying to use other things. It has cracked a little bit there, but this eyeshadow palette is incredible. Like, you will not look back if you have this eyeshadow palette. I also do love this little one from Kylie as well, a little bit more cheaper. It just has a few smaller shades in it. It's really like my go-to eyeshadow palettes when I'm doing an eyeshadow look. Okay, so first off, I'm going to go in with a warm brown. I'm going to use this shade here. If you haven't got an eyeshadow palette with a warm brown in, then I would recommend using your bronzer. I'm just going to blend this onto my eyelid. So tip is to make sure that you have a big fluffy brush. The bigger the brush, the easier it is to actually blend. I'm going to blend this over my eyelid, doing circular motions over the top of where I've just put that cream, and then using what's left on the brush to blend it forward and then blend it out. I like to do my eyeshadow quite ringed out, but I know that's not everyone's personal preference, so if you want to do it more rounded, then obviously do it more rounded. What I love about this look is it's so versatile. Like, you can literally do this with whatever colours you want, you can do this with whatever shape you want, as long as you like have a little bit of the method. It's incredible, which is why it's one of my go-to eyeshadows. And then just same again on the other eye, and I'm just building up the colour as well. So I'm just going in with a light layer at first, making sure I'm happy with the shape, and then proper building the colour up. Okay, and then next up what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab an even bigger, fluffier brush. I'm going to grab a lighter shade, just like one of these ones here. I'm going to tap off the excess, and I'm just going to brush over the very outside of this, just to make sure that the edges are fully blended. If you are someone who struggles with blending eyeshadow, this is a great tip, just to go over everything to make sure that it is all blended. Next up, I'm grabbing a little smaller blending brush. This one is a HF2 from HF Cosmetics. If you've not used the HF Cosmetics eye brushes, they are incredible. They give you like, there's everything in the pack just to make the perfect eyeshadow. And I'm just going to go in with this shade here, this on to the outside. So this is, again, total personal preference. You can go as dark as you want with this or not as dark, or you could just leave it here and not do this step. And I'm just packing it onto the outside. I'm not blending it at this point. I'm just packing it on just until I get the colour payoff that I want. This eye here, what I'm doing now, feels like it's gonna water like hell. I'm not sure if you can tell on the camera, but this is the issue with having blue eyes. They're so sensitive. And it's always when you want your makeup to look incredible, is it when your eye waters and it ruins all your concealer? So frustrating. Start tickling it around the outside. I don't want to bring this too far this way. I want to keep it more like over here, so I'm just blending it. I'm going to go back in with the first big fluffy brush that I used and the same shade, tapping it off so there's not too much on the brush, and I'm just going to go back in between the two layers to make sure that they are all blended together. If you feel like you need a little bit more blending, you can go back in and do the darker and then go back in with the transition shade just to make sure that it's all nice and blended. Also at this point, if you feel like it's not dark enough, just do it again. So back in with Gaia, packing it on and then blending it a little bit like that, just to deepen it up a little bit. Also, don't worry too much if you feel like that this isn't blended properly at this point. Don't worry, because we're going to cover the whole thing with glitter. You're not even going to be able to see, so don't stress. Okay, so the next part is where the fun begins. That is the pigments. It's the glitter. This is my favourite part. Pigments that I go to in general are the Jordana ticia ones, the base and sparkles. These ones are a little bit more expensive, but they do come with like a glue built in. So if you don't already have a glue, this saves you that sort of job. And then the next one is the peaches and cream. Obviously, every single colour pigment that you can think of, they will have something that's somewhat close. These, I think, like £3, £4, £15, I want to say, something along those lines. They're not expensive. They are incredible. They last forever. Couldn't speak any more highly of peaches and cream, you guys already know that. Also, I'm going to go in with the peaches and cream glitter base as well, but you are better to have a glitter base. If you're applying pigments without a glitter base, it doesn't last as long and it doesn't give you that colour payoff. I'm just going to apply this onto the back of my hand and then grabbing a fluffy brush, tapping off the excess so that there's only a little bit onto my brush, and I'm just going to tap this over my lid, but I'm starting right in the centre and then using the excess to go towards the inner corner and not really taking it much higher than that, because the glitter will go much higher than that anyway, but that's where you want to focus it. What I tend to do when I'm doing this sort of look is I grab 3 different pigments, the 3 that I'm going to grab today. So the first one that I always do, no matter what, this is how I pick my pigments. I always do a white one, no matter what, even if this is a white one that reflects pink or it reflects blue or whatever my choice of colours are, I always do a white one. This one is Hollywood from Peaches and Cream. It's a classic, it's a go-to, I absolutely love it. And then I grab my main shade. So whatever I want to do as, oh, that's my eyeshadow look, the middle one is my main shade. So this is Iconic from Jordana T-shirt. Would recommend having 2 over 1, but having 3 is a little bit better. And then I'm grab is one that's a little bit darker. You only need a tiny little bit of this, but this one is the shade Hustle from, again, Peaches and Cream. There is nothing worse than dropping a pigment all over the floor. I've done that so many times. It's so frustrating. And then I'm going to grab myself just like a flat, fluffy brush. This one is from My Kit Core. And I'm just going to tap into Hollywood, and then I'm tapping at the end off, so there's only a little bit onto my brush. And then I'm going to pack this like that onto my inner corner here. The first place that you put the brush is where majority of the pigment is going to lie, whether that's a glitter or an eyeshadow. I mean, it is glitter, so it doesn't really need much blending doing to it because it does it for you. I'm going to tap my brush into Iconic from Jordana T-shirt. I'm going to tap this next to it, and again, just start to blend it out a little bit. And then I'm going to go in with Hustle, pack this over the top of the dark eyeshadow, which is why I said before, like, don't worry if this isn't blended, you're literally going to cover it with glitter. Back in with the big fluffy brush that I used before, tap in a little bit of product, and I'm basically just going to blend over this. It just makes it look stunning. I absolutely love this eyeshadow look. It's so easy. Same again on the other eye. I like to do the full eye and then go back to the other one. A little extra tip that I have, not one that you necessarily have to do, but one I like doing to elevate this look a little bit more. I like to grab a little cream eyeshadow. So if anyone has any little creams like this, you could use things like the Made by Mitchell Blush Lights. I've used them before. Oh, you could use a highlighter, and it's just creamy, glittery, reflective. And I'm just going to grab a tiny little pencil brush like this one, and I'm just going to tap it in, and then I'm just going to apply this in like little tiny spots. Like, I'm not going to apply it too much. You do have to be really careful with this. So you kind of want to go here, just above the eye, and then a little bit on the lids. See it there? Can you see what I've just done there? Just makes the glitter reflect a bit more. You can see how much of a difference that makes when it hits the light. Can you see it? Just makes it look extra glittery. And next up, this is total personal preference. Like everything else in this video, there's absolutely no rules with makeup. We just do whatever we want. I'm going to go into one of the darker shades on this flat shaded brush, and I'm just going to press this along my lash line because I'm not going in with like a big lash. Tapping this along here just to darken up my lash line. Okay, so my lash choice that I'm going to use today is this one from Claudia Kilsby. It's an FL1. Love the Claudia Kilsby lashes. So I'm just going to go and apply this and then I'll come back. My eyelashes on. I did put myself in the eyes, so if this eye starts watering even more than it already was, that's fine. Just going to go in and pop a little bit of mascara on. This mascara I have been loving at the minute. It's the Maybelline Firework mascara. It's really thick. It's really black. And I just love it. And next up is the skin. Right, I'm not going to do any waterline eyeliner on my under eyes at this moment in time because this eye is juicing like hell, and I don't want to make it any worse. Normally when I'm doing skin for a big night out, obviously I've already done my skincare and my skin prep. I actually use 2 different primers for 2 different reasons. So I'm going to go in with a pore primer first. So this one is the Clinique Pore Defining Primer, and I'm just going to pop this where I have large or open pores. So this is just section here. Just keeping this to this area. You don't want to put this where it's not necessary, because you don't actually want these 2 primers to mix together. This a minute to just dry in. Then once that's done, I'm going to go in with the Milk Hydro Grip. Absolutely love this. This is incredible for making your makeup last. I also love the Weechery as well as a bit of a cheaper alternative. Both just as incredible. And then I'm going to apply the Hydro Grip in the places where I've not applied that primer. The primers do have different ingredients, so you don't want them to mix together. That's why I'm just applying them in the areas that I need them. And then very important tip with products like the Milk Hydro Grip is leave this. Leave this for 2 minutes. Let it go tacky, because if you put makeup straight on top of this, it's not tacky yet. It's just like an eyelash glue, you've got to leave it. Foundation for a night out. It's a very hard one to pick when you're going on a night out, but my current favourite foundation for a night out for my special occasions is this one. This is the House Labs foundation. If you are a makeup lover, I'm sure you will have heard about this. She is incredible, but she is very, very, very expensive. It is £55. Was very skeptical about buying it. It took me a very long time to actually purchase this because it was so expensive, but it is worth it, and I would very much buy this again because of how good it is. I do want to buy it in more of like in like my non-tan shade because I love it that much. It never fails me. It's very consistent, and you need the tiniest little bit, so I know that this will last me a long time. Other alternatives that aren't as expensive, the MAC Studio Serum. Again, still more pricey, but not as expensive as this one. And I also love the Bourjois Healthy Mix. That's really random, but I love that foundation. I think it's incredible. And obviously, it's a lot cheaper as well. So going in with the House Labs foundation, this is probably a bit too dark for me right now, but we'll make it work. And I'm just blending this into the skin. I like to use my big P. Louise brush, which is very similar to my Peaches and Cream PC08, but my PC08 needs a little wash, which is why I'm using this one. Blend in a lot of this with the brush. And then something that I've been doing new recently is actually using a sponge. I feel a bit illegal using a sponge because sponges are not normally my kind of thing. But recently I've been jumping for a sponge, so I'm just going to blend the rest of it in with this. This is a Luxa blender sponge as well, by the way. Please let me know in the comments as well if anyone is recreating this look. Please let me know where you're off. Please let me know how you got on. Please send me pictures, actually. I want to see your guys' recreations, so please do send me pics. Okay, so once that's all nice and blended in, just like that, I'm gonna do my cream bronzer / contour, but more bronzer because I like it warm. Just using my usual one that I've been loving at the minute. This is the Made by Mitchell Bulk Balm in BB14 on a Peaches and Cream PC21, obviously. If anyone is watching this and doesn't cream bronzer and then powder bronzer, you only do powder, you really need to do cream bronzer. I would actually advise doing cream bronzer over doing powder bronzer. I mean, actually depends on your skin type, but doing cream bronzer is going to give you that look. It's going to pull the look together. It's going to make it last so much longer. Powder bronzer just on top of foundation, first of all, mixes together, goes all gross, not cute, but this actually makes it last so much longer, and it's that makeup artist look, which is what I feel like when you're going on a night out is definitely what you want. I mean, I do this all the time whether I'm going out or not, but trust me, if you're not cream bronzer in and you start, you will not turn back. I also like to take a little bit of the excess of the brush and just blend that eyeshadow up there, just so it's all nice and blended together. I like it to look quite like this, and if you've messed up your eyeshadow, cream bronzer over the top, trust me, it solves everything. Okay, so once that's all placed, I'm then going to go in with my concealer. I tend to do things quite messy, if you've not already figured out. Then I just like clean up as I go along. So concealer of choice is this Hourglass one. Again, this is very bougie. You don't need to be bougie like this, but I've been loving this concealer at the minute. It's a little bit of a guilty pleasure. I also love the H&B concealer. I also love the Huda Beauty concealer. This is where I place my concealer. This is just personal preference. I like to highlight like this, and I like to snatch my eye up there like that. way too much concealer on that side. And then I'm just going to actually blend this in with the sponge. I like to keep this bit of the concealer where I actually want coverage. I'll blend that in last. By leaving it on my face like that now, it'll help it to set in place already. So if it's already set by the time I go to blend it, it'll keep more coverage. So I'll blend that one in last. You know what, I've said this so many times, but the Sabrina Carpenter espresso song is so stuck in my head. I'm literally sat here going, is it that me espresso? Doing up, down, left, right, oh, switching it like Nintendo. Taking sweet, baby, I know that's not me espresso. I can't relate to desperation. I give a fucks are on vacation. Literally it's stuck in my head. So you can see that concealer has a lot more coverage in them areas because I left it to dry for a little bit. Obviously, the longer you leave it, to be honest, the better. Okay, and then next step is, oh, blush. I was going to do powder then, but I'm not. I'm actually doing blush. So I'm actually going to go in with this one from 17. I love this. I used it for the first time the other day and it looked gorgeous. So we're going to use it again. 17 is like Boob's own brand, and the products are really, really good and they're really inexpensive as well. I absolutely love the foundation that they have, and this blush is one of my favourites, and the highlighter as well is incredible. They're all actually really, really good products. Went in with a little bit of the blush. Feels so weird doing blush now because I've been using the Milk blushes, but I'm trying to use something else in my content because it's literally all I'm using, and I've not been putting blush before powder because you use the Milk blushes over the top, so this feels a little bit weird. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to do powder next. So I actually do go in with an excessive amount of powders, but I have my reasons. The first one, if you follow me, you already know, the Beauty Pore Filter powder. I use this literally just in my pore area, so I literally stamp on there and I literally stamp on there. Don't put this underneath my eyes, but it just makes my face flawless. I talk about this so much because it is incredible. Then next up, I'm going to go in with the Huda Beauty powder. This is the fragrance-free pound cake. I don't know if it's the pound cake or the fragrance-free, but I really used this the other day and I really, really liked it. I mean, I like this powder anyway, but the other day I was like, wow, gorgeous. I'm just popping a little bit on the back of a puff and I'm just going to place this underneath my eye like I do normally, but this powder really does set me in place. Okay, and then I'm going to leave myself to bake for a little minute while I go in with my bronzer. I'm using my Kosas baked bronzer because I love this. I'm just going to blend this over the top of where I put my bronzer. Obviously, I don't really need to apply like that much bronzer so actually bronze my face because I have done the cream bronzer, which obviously it makes it so much easier for me. So I'm just going in with a little bit of this. Then a new little addition to my step, which this is absolutely not necessary, but I'm doing it because I've been loving it. It's this Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, which again is very expensive, but it adds like this gorgeous like glow to my skin. And I'm just gonna wipe off this big. And then at this point, I always think that my face looks a little bit dry, so I'm going in with a little bit of the Beauty Pop Dewy Mist. This is normally where I'll use like a wee cherie or the D'Alba spray, which I love. Just something that's a little bit more hydrating, just to give me a bit of a glow. And then whilst that's drying out, I'm actually going to do my lip. Now, lipstick, lip liner, lip gloss, anything does not last on my lips. I'm yet to find something that actually lasts. So I'm going to go with this MAC Spice. Okay, that's extremely pink, was not what I was expecting. I'm going to pop a little bit of this Kylie gloss over the top because I love these glosses. This one is the shade Diva. Ew, I'm going to have to change that lip liner because that's awful. Let's just put a little bit of MAC Oak on because that lip is way too pink for me. It looks odd. Okay, much better. Not that I need any more of a glow, but I'm just going to pop a little bit of this Ciate blush on. This is in the shade Tempt Me, and I absolutely love these blushes. They're so underrated. Like, they are quite expensive to be fair, but I think they are like maybe like £23, which is quite spenny. But they are incredible. They're so underrated. They give like a gorgeous little glow, and when I'm going on a night out, I'm going to be glowing from the gods. And just to finish off my eyes whilst they are not watering it anymore. Obviously, this is personal preference. I like to keep my waterline underneath quite clean, but obviously you can go in and do a little bit of eyeshadow. You can go in and do a little bit of eyeliner, whatever you want. If you wanted to add a wing on the end of this as well, you also can do. I'm just going to go in with this brown liner. This is from the brand Fine, which is sister brand to P. Louise. I love these, they're really good. I also love the Rimmel ones as well. Before it dries, I'm just going to blend it in. And there we go. Are we done? I think I'm done. That is the Glam fully done. Is my full night out, full beat Glam. Ready for any night out. Super quick, super easy, and you can literally do this however you like as well. Like I said before, you can change the colours, you can make it darker, you can make it lighter. If you want to not do it winged out, you can do it rounded. It's literally, you make it your own, and if you mess up, don't worry, because you pop some glitter over the top, so it's not the end of the world. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching and you enjoyed this style of video. And now I'm switching it up a little bit at the minute, and this one was very educational, and I feel like I've talked a lot. Let me know if you guys like this, so I can continue to do more like this. But yeah, oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and do all of the things that you do over on YouTube, and you can check out my other channels as well. There's loads of this type of look over on my TikTok as well, in different colours and different shapes and stuff, so you'll be able to see them.